Prime Minister was in trouble last week for reportedly calling people like Jeremy Corbyn terrorist sympathisers. How would you describe his friends at Stop the War coalition?
Well, I mean, I think David Cameron's comments were really unhelpful, to say the least, and I think he was absolutely wrong about that. And actually, it was a very sort of dangerous game he played there in trying to politicise that very difficult and thoughtful vote, and did not help him on the day.
Fine, but how would you describe people at Stop the War? An organisation that Jeremy Corbyn is very heavily involved with? Well,
he's been a long-standing, loyal member of that organisation that he fully supports, and they are a principled organisation that believe that war and military intervention can't ever be part of the process towards peace. I would like to think that. I would like to think
that's not what they say. You read their articles; they're not against all wars at all.
Oh, well, I understood that they're against.
They didn't raise a voice against the Russian invasion move into Ukraine or Crimea. They haven't raised a voice, as far as I'm aware, against what the Russians are doing in Syria.
Well,
they seem to be against mainly wars that involve the West.
Well, they're certainly against military intervention in the Middle East. As I was going to go on to say, clearly, given the difference of opinion that Jeremy and I came to last week, I don't agree with everything that the Stop the War coalition advocate, but Jeremy does, and it's an organisation that he has had a long-standing relationship with. I think it's entirely a matter for him whether he wants to continue that relationship with them.
It was the terrorist sympathisers that I wanted to ask you about, and how you would describe people at Stop the War. I mean, shortly after the Paris attacks, Stop the War coalition said France reaped the whirlwind of Western foreign policy, and more recently they said IS had the same spirit of internationalism and solidarity that motivated the international brigades who fought fascism in the 1930s. Does that indicate some sympathy towards terrorists?
Well, I mean, I totally disagree with those comments, and as far as I understand, so does Jeremy Corbyn.
Right, and why does he support them?
As I also understand, those comments were not statements of the organisation themselves, but of members within them. As we often have on debating forums, whether it be national newspapers or those types of websites.
Labour MP Ivan Lewis, your colleague, said my grandfather fought for the International Brigade in Spain to defeat fascism. Stop the War comparing him and his comrades to IS is shameful. Isn't it shameful?
I totally disagree with those comments, absolutely. And as I understand it, so does Jeremy Corbyn.
But then why is Jeremy Corbyn going along to their Christmas fundraiser?
Well, that is a matter for him.
Should he?
That is a matter for him. He has a long-standing relationship with that organisation. As I understand it, those comments were not the comments as a statement of the organisation, but were comments that were put on there by individuals associated with that organisation and were taken down as quickly as they went up there, which is often the case. If you look at the Daily Mail or the Guardian website or the Labour Party website or the Tory Party website, I'm sure you can find pretty abhorrent opinions being posted up on those websites, which sometimes take a while to be taken down, as they were in that case. But as I say, I don't agree with Stop the War and all of their policies.
As the leader of the Labour Party, be associated with an organisation that says those sorts of things, not just once, but twice? I mean, maybe he should, but do you, in your mind, if you don't agree with any of them, and some of your colleagues saying it's shameful, we've had Caroline Lucas stepping down from her role because of the things they said, should Jeremy Corbyn?
Well, look, let's just separate those two things out. Are they the views of the organisation? Are they a statement from the organisation? I understand that they are not. They are statements from individuals associated with it, which many people, including Jeremy Corbyn, have absolutely distanced themselves from and said that they are not views that they agree with. Should Jeremy Corbyn be allowed and be able, and should he come to his own decision about whether he wants to go to an event being organised by an organisation that he himself set up, that he has a principled view that he supports? Of course he should be allowed to. Whether we agree with him or not, he was elected because he came from a principled sort of position, and people like that.
So you're happy with him to be associated with that organisation?
I'm not happy for him to be associated with those comments at all.
But they are the comments that came from people at Stop the War.
Well, they are, as I say, I mean, we can have a different view about that, but my understanding is they are not the comments, they are not the views of the coalition itself.
But some of your colleagues have urged him not to go,
yes,
haven't they?
And they have, but But
you wouldn't resign if he did go.
I understand that, but I think it's a matter for Jeremy. If he wants to go, he is a man of principle. He was elected. People supported him because he is a man of principle. Right. We might not agree with all of his views, and I don't agree with everything that Stop the War coalition say, but it is up to him whether he wants to go along or not.